So very recently, I had found an old escape room that I had made a while ago, and after solving it myself, I decided to give it to a friend while I spectate, and he's solving it. But what ended up happening was this friend absolutely destroyed the escape room. I mean, he didn't break it or anything, but he beat it, and he used all sorts of loopholes to do so. And I can't believe that he did that. For the first room, he beat it relatively as intended. The second room, he used dripstone as a block, which isn't cheating, but I didn't know that was possible. In the third room, he just straight up parkoured to an easier, he built up to an easier place to parkour from, which was kind of a dumb design on my part. And then in the penultimate room, he just straight up did this. Yeah, I had no idea anyone, except for the pro Minecraft players, was skilled enough to do this. Which technically I'm still right, because he's a pro Minecraft player. And then for the final room was the most humiliating of all. He just broke this dispenser that would dispense a warden, and water bucketed his way out of that one block gap. So, I built a new, double the size, double the difficulty escape room, and I'm gonna give it to him. And let's see how he solves it. But before I do that, I'm going to show you how to solve this escape room. So, this is the escape room. You spawn in, and you can already see the end platform up there, and there's a chest containing these items. Now, they'll all be useful. Under there is a wooden slab, crafting table, another wood on soul sand, and a copper block and item frame. In this this is a classic item hider, but there's actually a hidden brewing stand, and that's for brewing a potion of jump boost. And if you're like, where the heck is even the exit, bro? Well, it's actually in this really sus location. There's a hidden block. As you can see, right there's a little outline, and there's actually a tinted glass with a piece of carpet on top of it. And you're actually supposed to build up inside of here, and then you'll eventually make your way up. Okay, so as you can see, everything is barriered off. But what'll happen is you'll end up in this room, and you'll need that carpet and the tinted glass. But yes, after which you'll be able to walk freely into the next room. There is actually a little crack in here that allows you to access this furnace, which is unmined, and then down here there is this hidden room in the side that has this hidden chest, has some more iron. There's just not enough iron to crack the bucket, thank goodness, along with some hydrogen. You'll see what that's used for later. Now, there is this zombie up ahead that's double fisting 2 sticks, but you can't actually get the sticks upon killing him, so they're provided elsewhere. But you're actually supposed to smelt his armor into chains, which will give you blocks. And the sugarcane from the chest can be placed on this, because there's actually a water source there, and you could build up with the carpet on top of the sugarcane, place the chest here, another carpet, get more chains, you'll make it up. Now, the third room is this. It's a similar entryway, but there's actually this little hidden thing that allows you to gain a look at a bottle of sodium acetate, which is a thing in Minecraft. And in this really dark room, most people will notice immediately there's this lab table, but not many will notice unless they have the brightness all the way up. There's a hidden chest that has more elements than sodium acetate. Now the compound, if you combine all the elements in here, the one like the hydrogen, carbon, sodium, you'll get, and along with the H2O there, you'll get something called sodium acetate, combining it with the other sodium acetate, and you'll get a thing called the ice bomb. And the ice bomb is a projectile that spawns ice at any block of water, and what'll happen is you're supposed to throw it through this gap, and you'll actually manage to trigger that observer, which dispenses an ender pearl off of this dispenser up there. And the reason why everything looks weird is because they're actually double thick walls, because my friend is actually really resourceful, and he'll definitely find a way to escape using that ender pearl if I can let him. So he can just ender pearl up to here, but he'll need the ender pearl to escape from there, so that's not an option. Now, what you're supposed to do is use the chest, this, and the lab table to build your way up here. Using the ender pearl, you'll be allowed to pass into the next room by facing through the wall. Upon phasing through, you are met with this staircase along with some lava and an armor stand in the corner. Now, it doesn't look like it at first, but he's actually holding a mace, and there's enough materials and sticks and stuff you've got in the previous rooms that by clicking on these hoppers through the lava, you'll be able to gain, well, this crafting table, which you won't be able to pick up, but enough materials along with a wind burst to craft a armor stand. And if you're wondering why, there's an anvil over here, and you already have 67 levels, and the reason to get up to this with almost next to no blocks, because if you place the armor stands, both like one around here, the other here, because normally you can't activate the wind burst just by jumping and hitting down. So what you'll have to do is climb onto this ledge, jump, hit an armor stand, wind burst off of it, you'll fall down, hit another armor stand, and this one will be strong enough to bring you to here, and it's possible. I tested it. Now this seems like a complicated maze, but you'll actually be able to attain this item here. It's on the side, secured on a stick, which is useful later, but if you follow the path, this is actually a maze of barriers, like a little bridge, and it's right over the end portal frames, which is how you'll know how to complete it. Now, making it to the next room, there's a saddled pig, a cactus and pod, in his shack, and this chest with some more sticks, diamond and such. Now, what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to ride the pig with the carrot on stick through this maze, which is actually underneath the end portal frame so you don't suffocate. You'll be able to fill up your bottle of water from the jump boost potion from room 1 at a water source at the very end there, and you have to make your way all the way back. Use the water bottle and a piece of dirt that's under the chest turn to mud. It'll slowly drain with a hidden dripstone into clay, smelt, go back to the parkour room. This bridge room, smelt it in this furnace to bricks. You'll have enough fuel. However, you'll be just one stick short. You'll have to use the carrot on a stick, grind it on the pig until it's back to a fishing rod, use as fuel, craft bricks, use the stone cutter, turn it to brick slabs, get the chest, the dirt, both slabs, and the cactus. I think you'll have enough, and you'll be able to successfully build out of this room. Next room. In this room, you'll be met with an instant drop unless you manage to jump onto here, and you'll somehow check that, get a mud, you jump to here, and go down. Now, the first thing you'll notice is there's a farm you can't access with barriers, but what you're supposed to do is you can press this button and harvest it, sure. There's actually a hidden beacon under here, which you're supposed to place on these diamond blocks to activate a jump boost beacon, which is the reason it's a diamond, and under here, there's actually a hidden stone cutter. Bro, I love doing things like that, and it might look like there's no items, but there's actually a mud block right there, you can't see it. And you'll harvest the wheat, it'll flow through here, you'll be able to craft packed mud, which, and you can craft into packed mud bricks, which you can somehow craft into slabs. I'm not exactly sure how, but I think, the stone cutter. What am I saying? And with the jump boost, you'll have like 8 slabs, and that's actually just enough to make it all the way up here, because trust me, there's a lot of slabs. And there's this room, there's a one-way staircase with a blaze rod, just be able to jump down here, and you won't be able to parkour onto this, because it's powdered snow, and you'll fall straight through it. Now, down here, there is a hidden map of droppers with a rabbit hide. There's actually a popped coarse fruit, a shovel, and a blaze rod. What you're supposed to do is smelt the popped coarse fruit. One of these is actually a furnace, turn it into a popped coarse fruit from a regular coarse fruit, combine with a blaze rod, get an end rod, and there's just enough end rods to build yourself out into this room. And once you're in this room, you'll be able to use this hidden crafting table to craft leather boots. And then once you have the leather boots, you'll just be able to do this simple parkour and escape. Now, what you're supposed to do is gather these in this next room. You're supposed to gather these candles, put it here. You'll actually have a shovel from below to get these snow layers. You'll have 4 attempts to throw a snowball through this lava and light the candles on fire. And once they're on here, the lit candles will eventually melt the ice, and it'll flow down. And in case you were just wanting to break the ice and just do it that way and save on a couple of seconds and a whole snow block, well, you can't do that because it's actually lava and you'll burn, but the water melting will destroy the lava. Now, there's this redstone in Baggy the Torch. Now, what you're supposed to do is in this chest is a piston. There's like nothing here, bro. A piston, a stick, and a copper nugget. Only the piston will be used to escape from this room. But and all of that, how are you supposed to do it? Well, basically, you still have the candles from earlier. And now, using the jump boost, it's possible to use the chest, the furnace, and the candles to parkour up with just candles, using the piston with the redstone torch next to it to power yourself up 2 blocks, and you'll be able to do it. Now, the next room is a parkour room. Now, there's a bunch of 6-7 guardians down here, which are maxed out chicken jockeys. Even though they're not that rare, because they're not left-handed, they're not zombie villagers, but they got rid of those, sadly. Only on our profile pictures, what's left of the drowned jockey. But it's pretty easy. Only the fact that it's pressured, because these are all like max block jumps. But you have to, and they're all like max sprint jumps. So, wasn't sprinting. And if you fall, you'll be mauled to death by the 6-7 brothers. And that's why there's a 6 on the wall. It's actually divided, there's a 7 on the other. And they'll kill you. So you have to make it first try. And if you don't, you'll have to give up a strike. Because this is done. Change it. Oh yeah, you see that? With the correct looking, it is possible. And I'd be like, what are you supposed to do? Okay, so these guys will be chasing you. This box low enough, they'll see you. And using your windburst mace, you'll have to sacrifice one of them to jump down and windburst your way up, which is actually pretty risky. Now, this is the final room. There's a 7, a bamboo, which is just enough to craft all of them into sticks, some lava right here, and 2 soul torches. Now, what you're supposed to do is just these hidden item hoppers with that, ingot, and soul soil, blue ice, copper. Now, what you're supposed to do is, the reason there was copper ingots everywhere is because copper nuggets, you're supposed to craft all of them into ingots, craft them into a trapdoor. Now, the soul soil and blue ice can be placed in this lava to make a basalt generator. Now, what you do is you break the basalt block, replace it with a trapdoor, push yourself into crawl mode, and then you'll be able to go right through the lava. Now, the sticks are very useful because they're used with this crafting table to craft some ladders. Now, it's like the least possible amount of blocks you can get, but you're going to have to break this hopper. And now it doesn't matter where you go through the barriers, as you just have to break more hoppers unless you go into this corner. And now you'll have to break this hopper up there, which I'm just going to break the bedrock because it's easier. And, don't hear that often. And you'll be able to use the chest and the ladder to build up where the hopper was, because you won't be able to pick it up. Grab a ladder, and 3 ladders you'll be able to craft. But that is just enough using this corner here. You can place them on the corners, and you'll be able to build up into here. And now, descending these stairs. And around this turn, you'll be met with a nether portal. Going through the nether portal, you'll find this kind of reward armor, and then going through the nether portal again, you'll be met at the end platform, and you did it. So that's how. he's in. And now he's taking in all the information in that book, I guess. So, I guess first thing he does is he summons his agent, goes to the chest, takes the copper block almost instantly. He's a pro, remember? Okay, but here's how this goes. This is going to be a strike system. If he makes a mistake, I'll help him, and if I make a mistake, then he'll get a strike, and I'll be sent back in. So, that's how it works. We can each get strikes. He's looking through the classic item hider. Found something. Looks like he found the brewing stand. He wasn't actually supposed to get that as a block, but oh well. I'm not counting that as a strike because it hasn't helped him yet. And I'm kind of wondering where he is. But he already made it out. How? He didn't even craft the copper into lightning rods. He needs 2 more blocks, but he doesn't have those for some reason. And he has the jump boost potion, which he never used, which destroys another room entirely. Anyways, he's in this mad scuffle with the zombie, eventually coming out as the victor, but he's unable to access the chest. He then goes into the room, and because there isn't another chest in there, but little does he know he can access the furnace through the window on the top. Oh, I guess he can just do this instead. Anyway, elemental blocks. Yeah, that's quite something. But then he instantly breaks the suspicious sand, and that's irreversible. Strike 1 for him. But it takes me this long just to put the sand back. But he casts ladders though, which is kind of frustrating. But after a while, he eventually does figure out the stairs and stuff. Yeah, eventually he discovers how to 3-block sugarcane method. But because he was supposed to have another block from the previous room, I gave him that because he would have had an extra block somehow. And he instantly notices that, grabs that, and yeah. He sees that the X is hidden again. He knows to mine that somehow, I'm not quite sure. Goes in there to find the chest. And I thought for sure that he wouldn't be able to see the chest because how dark it is, but he just says right here, I have a brightness set to 100, so I guess now we know. He builds up. Okay, but during that time, he actually builds up with the element blocks, which I didn't think was possible, and just takes the ender pearl because I didn't make the wall high enough. And with that, there was nothing I can do but watch him escape. Strike 1 for me. After sending him back in, I decided to make a deal. If he can trigger the observer, then I'd give him an ender pearl. That was originally what it would do. So I refilled the wall because I don't know why that was too short in the first place. And that's the deal. He sees the observer, but it's just out of his reach to place blocks on it. However, he eventually installs the lab setup and starts crafting things. After some tinkering around, the thing explodes. What the heck? I didn't even know that was possible. Yeah. Okay, he keeps crafting garbage. Now I start crashing out. And he actually somehow spawns infinite sodium acetates, which he isn't supposed to have those, but apparently the elements don't disappear. He eventually does craft the thing, and throws it, freezing the water, but it doesn't observe. So I give him it again. Take 2. Still doesn't hit the observer. Give it again. Still doesn't hit the observer. Easy chilling. This time he hits it though. And as part of the deal, I give him the ender pearl. And this just proves what a pro he is. he somehow phases through. He just throws at the ceiling and phases through 2 blocks of barriers. It's not even at the corner too. He just straight went through the whole ceiling. But I show him how it's done, because it's done in a corner. Really, I don't know what he meant by that, because there's nothing really about that. Bro, he just teleports to the roof again. I'm never giving him ender pearls. Anyway, he eventually finds the armor stand and tries to bounce off of it, but he'll need wind burst for that. He then begins searching in the wall for any useful items and stuff. And apparently the armor stand disappeared. I'm not quite sure how, but it burnt, and he placed the slab near the crafting table for some reason. Anyway, but after that, he eventually notices the armor stand that I gave him, and he enchants his thing with Windburst. But just as he figures out the mechanic, or probably already knew about it, but he has saturation, so it's fine. Somehow, even though I gave him an armor stand, he still is one short. I don't even know how it's possible, so I gave him a strike because of that armor stand. But he does figure out the mechanic with the 2 armor stands. Bam, bam, and he's there. In the next room, he instantly dies. And just as anticipated, he doesn't have an extra block to build up. But little does he know, there's actually a maze of barriers, and it's just particularly over top of the end portal frames. And after a few attempts, which I'm not striking, for some reason, he eventually makes it through. He's like looking at the barriers. And with every turn, gets close enough to this next room. He eventually breaks the pig out of the wall and tries to plant the cactus, goes on top of the pig's pen, but he actually plants the sapling on top of the dirt, which is so dumb on my part. I shouldn't have made it a sapling. Anyway, I break it and strike myself. Like, that was just supposed to be used as fuel, but little did I know, you could turn it into a tree, which pretty much gives like 20 blocks or something like that, if you consider planks. Eventually he goes through this 1 block hole with the pig, and begins doing the maze from the inside. Remember, he can't see anything right now, but there's no like forks in the road, so he shouldn't have to. Then tries leading the pig to wherever, but there's no pressure plate. He needs to be down there. He doesn't know that though. The pig somehow goes into the top, which I guess he gets a second chance. Never mind. Now I strike him because he has a water bottle, which he shouldn't have. He should only have a glass bottle, but there's actually just a water source he was supposed to fill with the bottle. And there it is. Now that he has a water bottle and all, he just has to get back into his room, which he does. And the whole point of this was to turn the mud to clay to bricks and all that, but he just used item frames with carpets, which I didn't even know was possible. So I guess he kind of cheesed the room there, but I'm not striking anyone. He says that was perfectly legal. And he is looking at the item hider, which is massive. Although I don't think he actually finds anything in this item hider, because it's like Then finds the beacon, and then we start criticizing each other's grammar about carpets, but that's not part of the thing. Turns out he hasn't in fact noticed the stone color. This room might be hard. He then eventually harvests the wheat, just as I thought. He isn't able to swim up the water stream into the redstone. Now, he gets 4 wheat from it, because the solution to this room is crafting packed mud using the wheat. But for some reason, the packed mud recipe requires 4 mud, even though I only need 3 packed mud. So reluctantly, I give him another piece of mud. With his recipe, he now has more than enough slabs, but doesn't actually need the beacon to power a jump boost. So I said he needs the beacon, which I meant for the jump boost. But as I'm typing for jump boost, he just uses the beacon as a block, as you can see, and escapes. Some strike for me. He didn't use the room as intended. Now, into the next room. There's like some slimes down there, which I tried to dispatch pretty quickly. Firstly, going for like a gold axe. I don't know why. There's like, but it doesn't appear to drop any snowballs, and I accidentally break the room. But aside from that scuffle, there appears to be this thing of droppers at the bottom, which he combs through. And he eventually does find the chorus fruit and all. Isn't able to build up though. So he goes to the corner, eats the chorus fruit, but teleports into the middle of the room. Darn. But after realizing that, I just decided to give him a popped chorus fruit instead of another regular chorus fruit, because that's what'll need it anyway, and I don't want him to get lucky again. He eventually crafts emeralds, builds up into the next room, and this whole time he's been collecting rabbit hides for leather, and he successfully builds out of the room. Or park course, I guess. After like 3 attempts or something. There he is. The next room. He needs to light the candles over the ice, which you probably heard of this if you're an escape room pro. But he breaks the first 2 with his hands, realizing he should probably break them with the shovel. 2 tries, I guess. But while I'm typing that, he mines the ice block and just jumps through. But then dies in the lava. Yeah. Anyway, the next time, this death is really easy, but I'm not gonna strike anyone since there's nothing I can do to prevent that. And he somehow survives the lava, which doesn't make any sense. But it turns out he actually clutched using some block and survives, completely cheesing it to strike 1 for me. 5 for me. Okay, so he survives the next room, gets the piston, breaks the furnace and the chest. He then tries to build up using the piston arm extending feature, but isn't able to. Actually, I don't know how we got him on top of that. What is he standing on? Because you can't stand on the redstone torch. Anyway, so he shouldn't even have the what do you call it? He shouldn't even have the carpets, or the item frames, but he manages to get up. And the piston is the only block that can push the candles. And what I meant by that was, well, he thought that it meant you can push the candles higher than where you can place them. What I meant is that you can just place a candle on top of it, and break the piston, getting the piston block back as an item. But the same thing would work as a wooden plank, for example. But he took it a different way, and actually managed to do it. Which you still need a jump boost from that beacon room, but he doesn't know that yet. Because with jump boost, you can jump like a candle and another block. But as he's going, he builds a staircase with the thing. He's actually pretty good at jumping from candles. Not quite sure where he learned that. But he just so happens to be 1 block short. And the reason is because that candle on the furnace, you shouldn't actually have to do that, since you would normally have the beacon from Jump Boost would reach from this room. So as I explained to that, he says wait, which kind of freaks me out every time, because that means he somehow figured out how to win. And he just realized that the bottom candle he might not need, but apparently he does need the bottom candle. So he says, okay, yeah. So I give him another block and strike his 5th. We're currently tied. And he's out. Into the parkour room. Almost instantly completes all the jumps. That jump took me a few tries. While surrounded by 6-7 guardians. I remind him of the mace, which he uses to blast away, dying in the process. I'm not gonna strike him for this, since he would have infinite strikes from this. But at least I know what his weakness is. But anyway, after catapulting himself in random directions for a bit, or catapulting himself back up, he actually kills some of them, managed obtaining a set of diamond armor, I think. Yeah, but he eventually dies again. But I'm teleporting back up each time. And since there isn't a TP command, I'm just doing /R, so it sometimes teleports me to myself, which doesn't do anything. But I get most of the time it works. He gets a full set of diamond armor and officially secures himself in this room. I eventually just try to give him a few advantage by summoning like some more zombies that he can use to wind burst. But after a while, I decide to teleport him up and strike him number 6. And now he actually has more strikes than me, and we're entering in the last room. In the last room, there's a bamboo, some lava, and chest, or like a crafting table, I think. He immediately breaks the bamboo and uses this as scaffolding to build up. And there wasn't anything up there, but good thing he's checking. And in this, he realizes nothing up there, goes down. And he actually has something that he shouldn't have, even though I don't realize it right away. So he's looking at the items through the water, but he just walks through the lava. I don't know how he discovered he could do this, but he's somehow surviving longer than he should, which leads me to believe he's actually he's hacking or something. He's in creative mode. So when I ask him about that, he just says it's from the armor, but that doesn't make sense. Oh, he says it's from skill, but I know it's from the armor because he says later. He eventually uses it to swim all the way up to the 2nd level. But there's nothing up here. I'm not quite sure how. The armor doesn't even have fire prot on it, and he survived for such a long time. Anyway, using the water, he manages to build up and strike on me for that. Going down the stairs and through the portal. Well, it's a nod, I guess. In this, he manages to obtain the winning armor set and that piece of bedrock before going back, and he did it. We both actually have 6 strikes, which is kind of interesting because I never thought that even though he won, he didn't actually truly do better at escaping than I did at trapping.